Boudica would not be the only leader to challenge Rome. Zenobia was queen of the Palmyrene Empire, formed as a breakaway kingdom from the Roman Empire amid power struggles in the 3rd century CE. Unlike Boudica, who charged at Rome headfirst, Zenobia cleverly played loyal and constructed an expansive empire right under their nose, until her power could no longer be ignored. Born into a Roman province, Zenobia was a Roman citizen and possibly had ties to prominent historic Roman families. However, she would proclaim that she was a descendant of Hellenistic royalty, including Cleopatra and Dido. Long before she came to power, she played a principal role at her family farm, where Arabic histories indicate she developed her characteristic stamina, equestrian skills, and experience in leading men. When Zenobia's husband marched against the Persians and reinstated Roman rule, he was rewarded with governorship of the whole eastern portion of the empire. He became more and more powerful, seen as more of an authority in the region than Rome itself. However, in 266, he was assassinated by his nephew after a dispute following a hunting trip. Some ancient historians hinted that Zenobia herself was behind the assassination. Because his son with Zenobia was still a child, she ruled in his place as regent. Palmyra was a solid relationship with Rome at the time, and her husband was considered a possible successor for the emperor. Initially, Zenobia saw the same potential for herself and her son, but as the chaos of the 3rd century continued, she decided not to wait to build her empire. In 269 CE, she sent her army into the Roman Egypt and claimed it as her own, but cleverly did so under the guise of putting down a local revolt, and thereby looking like she was doing so in favor of Rome. Contemporary historians contend that she had sent instigators in herself. She not only gained control of Egypt, but soon the areas of Levant and parts of Asia Minor, all while proclaiming to be loyal to Rome. Only 5 years into her rule as regent and 2 years after her conquest of Egypt, she created an empire that began to rival the 2 major powers to either side of her. The Palmyrene Empire quickly wedged its way between Rome and Persian empires, both of whom had long oppressed the people of the region and saw Zenobia's empire as favorable alternative, and neither of whom seemed to even realize what she was doing. However, she couldn't fly under the radar for long. When Aurelian became emperor, he was a military man who was intent on bringing order back to Rome through force. He soon turned on Zenobia's blooming empire in 272 CE, destroying everything in his path once he crossed her border. Cities soon surrendered to him before he even reached them to ensure their safety. Zenobia, too, tried to reach the emperor to assure him of her questionable loyalty, but he remained silent. Not really sure what was going on, she raised her army in preparation for battle. Unfortunately for the warrior queen, Aurelian's forces would slaughter hers. Zenobia had to retreat, and though defeated, this is not to say her and her people didn't put up quite a fight in the process. The historian Augusta indicates that Aurelian wrote,
"It cannot be told what a store of arrows is here, what great preparations for war, what a store of spears and of stones. There is no section of the wall that is not held by 2 or 3 engines of war, and their machines can even hurl fire. Why say more? She fears like a woman and fights as one who fears punishment. I believe, however, that the gods will truly bring aid to the Roman Commonwealth, for they have never failed our endeavors."
She and her son, after one more attempt at a stand near the capital, fled towards Persia. The skilled equestrian had outpaced his pursuing cavalry for some time, but was ultimately caught trying to cross the Euphrates River and was brought back home. Her fate is questionable. Some historians have claimed she was paraded through the capital city as many prisoners had been, chained and publicly shamed. Some proclaim that she died along the way to Rome, varying from being executed or maybe committing suicide to evade capture. Others say that she was put on trial in Rome, but was ultimately acquitted when claiming she was innocent and simply misled by her advisors. Others say that she was not only acquitted, but actually married a prominent Roman and had a daughter who was later married to Aurelian himself. Get it straight, antiquity! While she may or may not have met an end fitting for the warrior queen that she was, Zenobia, like the other leading women of the ancient world, had proven her ability to weather the hardships and consequences of war. Historians describe her as a leader who worked her soldiers hard and could outhunt and outdrink any one of them. More modern historians have analyzed that she deftly used her stereotypes of both gender and methods of building her empire, and possibly in her trial after the fact, if that ever happened, allowing the men around her to assume that she was weaker or more naive than she truly was. In doing so, she created a powerful army and empire that, while short-lived, was one of her own creation, and her authority became a primary target of the greatest empire of the ancient world. Zenobia became one of the most iconic, though underappreciated figures of the ancient world. Let's reinstall her in her proper, impressive place.